So a usual function of Microsoft Excel spreadsheet is to store and work with a huge amount of data, and that is sometimes becomes very tough to pull data out of that huge chunk of data. That could be like finding a needle in a haystack. So if you want to find a specific data in a huge chunk, we could use functions like HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP, which we're going to learn in this session, and we could pinpoint the exact thing that we want, and Microsoft Excel can pull it out for us and put it in a separate place, and we can look at it then. So in this example here, we have product IDs, those are numbers, and there is a database which is rather small in this case, but in general it's a huge database from which we're trying to extract some information. In this case we already have IDs in here, and corresponding to those IDs we have brand names and product names that are associated with those IDs. So if there is an ID 104, the brand associated would be HP and the product associated would be a printer. So we are expecting a printer to show up in this cell right here, and we'll be achieving that using HLOOKUP. Now the full form of HLOOKUP could be horizontal lookup, and it makes sense. We are trying to look up the value of 104 across a row, and from there, since we are doing a horizontal lookup, and then we are trying to pull out some data that is associated with 104 in there. So how do we start? Let's start typing a formula in the formula bar with equal to HLOOKUP and parentheses. As soon as we reach this point, we have a syntax that is suggested by Microsoft Excel, and the syntax says first is the lookup value that we should put. That is exactly what this thing is, 104. This is what we're trying to look up in our data set. So that's this cell, and the address goes up there. Then we go for a comma and the table array. So the table array is the database chunk that has our data that we're interested in somewhere inside it. So we basically select all of this that has a data, not the headers, we don't need that. So all the data has been selected, and as you can see, when I selected this all the way, the address got noted down here. Then we separate it with a comma, and then it's asking for a row index number. So once it has found 104, what should it do next? Should it give you HP or should it give you a printer? So to be able to do that, you need to tell it which row number data should be pulled out and put here. In this case, after 104, number 2 is HP and number 3 is printer. So the lookup always happens on the top row, and then the index number is anywhere below it. So in this case the index number is 3, and separate by the comma, and we'll have true or false. True is for an approximate match, false is for the exact match. So we want 104 to match only with 104, so we'll do exact match by typing false, and then we press enter, and there's the printer that we wanted here. Now if I try to drag this formula down, autofill it for the next entry, it does not work. Let's see how. What's the reason? We'll go to the formula bar and just put our cursor there, and it shows that while 103 is being read properly, the data set has shifted down as well, and that's something we did not want. So to be able to do that, so what it's trying to do right now is it's trying to find 103 somewhere in this row, and it's not being able to find it. So how to fix this? We'll probably need to correct this and also do an absolute referencing, not relative referencing, of this particular table array. So to do that, we'll press F4 while we're on the red zone here, and it'll put a bunch of dollar signs near the F11. We'll do the similar thing with I13, and this makes it absolute referencing. So irrespective of pulling down the formula on the left side here using autofill, this absolute reference would not change like it did the last time around. So let's try it. We press enter, and then we try to pull it down, and it's working now. The formula is exactly as we wanted. This part that has the database does not move down, and the part on the left that has the lookup, the ID that needs to be looked up, is moving down because it's the relative reference. So that's exactly what we wanted, and we have the whole thing looked up. So in this way we could use HLOOKUP to find a small minuscule amount of data from, or a particular data set from a huge database very easily. Similarly, there's VLOOKUP. This looks up for a value vertically. So the same set of database is now put up vertically, and as you can expect, we'll just start typing the formula and it becomes very easy to grasp now. VLOOKUP and start parentheses. It has, again, first is the thing that needs to be looked up, that's the ID. The second is the table array, so we'll select the table array, but while we did that, we'll press F4, and the whole table array, since we just selected it, the whole of it got converted into dollar signs at appropriate places, and separate with a comma, and this time we select the column index number. So in this case, it's going to look up for the ID on the first column. So if there was another column right here, I could not have selected it. I had to select it from ID because the first column is going to get looked up, and 104 should be found in there, otherwise it will not return any value. So once it has found 104, it should jump 3 columns to the right. So we put a column index number of 3. So exactly how it used to happen in HLOOKUP, it used to jump down. This time it will jump towards the right. And then we'll say false, and close parentheses and press enter, and that's again solved. Now this time we used absolute referencing right from the start, so I don't think this should be an issue, and it's all solved again. So that's the way we could use up HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP depending on the database that we have and depending on the kind of data we want to pull out. Thank you.